Okay.
Call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, as we usually do.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the February meeting of the Union Township Planning Commission. Roll call, please.
Cody.
Here.
Squattrito.
Here.
Milky. Haven't heard from him. Fuller's here. Darren.
Here.
Shingles was excused. Buckley.
Here.
Webster.
Here.
Lavelle.
Here.
Thank you. So we have some minutes to approve. We last met January 15th. We also had a special meeting on December 13th, and so we have minutes of both of those. I guess we'll take them in chronological order, so we'll start with the December 13th minutes. That was the special meeting where we had the review of the diagnostic report for the zoning ordinance. Are there any corrections to the December 13th minutes? They were pretty brief.
All right.
Good.
If not, I guess we can let those stand as approved as prepared. Then the longer minutes were for the January 15th meeting. Had a couple of action items, a couple of public hearings. Are there any corrections to the January 15th minutes? So one very minor thing about 2/3 of the way down page 2. Actually, it's under the motion under B. It lists Shingles' name as Singles, so we'll make him Shingles instead of Singles.
Chair, if I could, in the for your minutes, writing directly underneath that, which I had made a note of it in the email when I sent your packets out, there was a clarification resolution. That clarification resolution, what we could do is you could go about approving that resolution. It's from the applicant from last month's meeting, the item of the rezoning and the special use permit. What I indicated in the email also is you could lift language or borrow language from that resolution when you're approving the minutes from last month. When it came to the postponement of the special use permit and we moved forward with the rezoning, there wasn't any reasoning as to why it was being postponed, and so the applicant was looking for clarification of why it was postponed. And they had drafted some language that our attorney reviewed, and so I would just recommend you guys consider when you approve the minutes to maybe amending the minutes, the draft minutes, to include some kind of reasoning as to why it was postponed.
Okay. Did that come in after the draft minutes were posted?
It came after the draft minutes were made, but it was posted all together as the packet.
Okay. But I mean, they expressed that concern. When did they, I guess I'm just curious, when did they express the concern?
It was briefly after we had the meeting.
Oh, right after the meeting. All right. Well, from my recollection of the discussion, I think that that was our intention. I think it accurately reflects our intention.
I thought we talked about it, but that's just poor memory. Maybe I was wrong.
So this would be in reference to item
SUP 1901-1.
Yeah. So item A. So it would be about halfway down page 2. Apparently, it says Buckley moved, Milky supported to postpone consideration of SUP 2019-01. Vote ayes 5, nays 1. So
So are we gonna amend these minutes with the verbiage?
Well, he's suggested that as one option. Is another option to just have this as a, what is this? This would be a memorandum of understanding or something?
Well, it's a, just like when we approve minutes, you can either, after make a decision, some have a resolution that then the chair signs. The way we've done it, we have draft minutes or approve those minutes. So you don't need to necessarily approve any kind of resolution, do anything out of order, what we usually do. It would just be more of a clarification of, Buckley made the motion, we had a second, postpone, and then clarify the reason why. And it could be until, the rezoning application process is complete, or, basically you can borrow words, in the language that they've provided. I would just recommend that we just keep it in the minutes instead of doing a separate resolution.
I'm comfortable in using the language that has been provided. I think it accurately depicts the rationale for why the motion to postpone was made.
Ryan, are you suggesting the whole paragraph, or are we gonna?
Well, let me ask, would for where it says Buckley moved, Milky supported to postpone consideration of SUP 2019-01, simply add to allow the process of rezone 2019-01 and related site plan and land use approvals to proceed to finality before a decision on SUP 2019-0-01 is made, period. I mean, that states the purpose. I don't really feel the need for having all this extra, I don't know. That's my suggestion.
If they're looking for a rationale, am I looking at something differently? Is that this doesn't create like...
They prepared that.
I know, but this doesn't really create the rationale for the motion. If you're looking for a rationale in the motion, I think your language is appropriate.
Well, I took it from that. I just borrowed it from the
Just a part of
I guess I
it.
didn't get that.
third line. I just extracted it from that. Purpose of the postponement is to allow, and so I'm just saying that the motion was to allow, etc.
Okay, I see that. Okay, I would agree with that sentence. Let's read the whole thing.
I'm comfortable with the addition that
Yep.
the chair has suggested.
Yep.
So you're going from the purpose of the postponement?
No, I'm actually going by just adding from to allow to the sentence that's already in the minutes.
Process of...
Yeah, until the end of that sentence.
So what do you need, a motion
It's gonna go
to
in our-
approve the
down
minutes as
here.
amended?
Yeah, next page?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so therefore I move
In-
that we
Oh, I see,
Yes,
yeah.
right after
we,
that. Yep.
approve minutes of January
Yeah, that's the snippet.
15th as amended.
All the way to his page.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just doing both the sets of minutes, or just the one?
Just the one, January 15th.
Because we still have the 12 minutes up there as well.
Since there were no changes, I guess I invoked my authority to declare them approved as prepared. I don't think Roberts doesn't say you have to approve minutes if they're not like modified. I just want to ask one question though, because this thing that they submitted does go on to say that the applicant and the planning commission have agreed as to at what point that thing would come back, and furthermore, it gives them, I guess, 12 months to let it sit. Essentially, is all that consistent with how things work?
Well, when the applicant when I talked to them, their fear was, because in the ordinance, of course, you have a reasonable amount of time to approve, or not approve, but make a recommendation. And so while it's postponed, the fear would be at just a meeting sometime in between the process of that rezoning. At any time, a member on the planning commission can make a motion to, make a recommendation, you get a second, and then you get a recommendation without the applicant being present or notified. And so they just wanted to, that was, I think, their fear. They didn't want it to, all of a sudden, the planning commission decide to make a recommendation without them being here in the middle of, I guess, the rezoning application.
Okay. And the normal, I guess this probably is not a common thing, but the normal expectation would be if something like this were postponed, that one would formally put it on an agenda, notify the applicant that it's, give them some notice that it's going to be on a future agenda and make sure that they can be there, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Okay. Any further discussion on the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes as amended for January 15th, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so we did that. Next item is correspondence / board reports. Any correspondence that's not related to anything in particular? Okay, then I'll just take this opportunity to remind everyone one more time that planning and zoning workshops are coming up. The one in Mount Pleasant is Wednesday, March 6th. It's specifically on zoning. It is a daytime thing. It's 11 to 4:30, so that could present a problem. It's our spring break, so I'm actually available, so I plan to attend. Did you got my email about that?
Mm-hmm.
Is the township still registering people directly if they want to go to something? All right.
Well, yeah, and actually, I was going to say it for the end of the meeting, but I can piggyback on that. The Zoning Board of Appeals, we talked about it. There were a couple of people, I think, interested in maybe attending this workshop. The workshop, of course, this one that's titled Zoning Administration Workshop, it's more specifically geared for zoning administrators, township planners, but of course it could also benefit anybody, whether you're a planning commission member or a zoning board of appeals member. What my plan would be, anybody that wants to attend this meeting or any of the other sessions that they have in the other places, let me know and I'll sign you up. But what I was thinking about is inviting, coordinating with Jacob at the city, kind of like what we had a couple of years ago, where we had Chippewa Township, the county, the city, and Union Township set a date and invite MAP here in Mount Pleasant to have just a general planning and zoning that could benefit both the ZBA and the planning commission members. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up that I'm looking at doing that, because I've heard before, members say, well, it'd be great if instead of having to travel here or there, if we could have a class here locally. So this one, of course, zoning administration will be here, but I'm also hoping to have a planning and zoning general workshop. Hopefully we could collaborate between the municipalities to have it here in Mount Pleasant or here in Union Township too.
And there's an expectation in our bylaws, right, that we'll participate in continuing education. All right. Let's see, board reports. Commissioner Cody, anything from the Board of Trustees?
The Board of Trustees reappointed Mike Darren, Ryan Buckley, and Doug LaBelle for the Planning Commission. So.
Great, that's why you're still here, right?
Yes.
Welcome back.
That would be all.
Okay. Let's see. Brian's not here, so I guess we won't have a report on ZBA unless you know anything you want to report to us.
Yeah, we just had the one item. We had a text interpretation for the Isabella County Road Commission. They're looking to rebuild on their existing site, B5 property, and so they're looking for an interpretation on if they're use would be permitted in a B5 zone, and they also were asking for an interpretation on if they qualified as an essential service. According to the zoning ordinance, the Zoning Board of Appeals took the essential service question first, and they determined that the Isabella County Road Commission facility would be an essential service and therefore allowed in a B5 district. But then after they made that determination, the applicant then withdrew the second part of the question on if they were not considered an essential service, would they still be permitted in a B5 zone. So two questions to one interpretation, determined one, the other was withdrawn. So that's all we had on our agenda
So it was determined that they're fit to stay at that location.
as an essential service.
Okay.
Yep.
At the location they were interested in?
No.
The
where-
location where
Yeah,
they currently
right.
are?
Tear down and
And I
rebuild.
should specify it's for a B5 district. 'cause
Oh,
that's the
right,
zoning,
okay.
So,
All right.
And that's for an office building.
for their entire operation that they have there, office building with accessory structures, and, because they determined it to be an essential service.
Sidewalks and pathways, anything?
Nothing.
Okay. Anything else that anyone needs to report? All right, if not, then we'll move on. So the next item is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Is there anything else that needs to be on tonight's agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda as prepared?
So moved.
Support.
Motion was by Webster, second by LaBelle to approve our agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we have our agenda. Next item, item 7, public comment. We always give the public an opportunity to address the planning commission on items that are not on tonight's agenda. And so that's what this public comment is for. If there's anyone who'd like to address the planning commission on any item that's not on tonight's agenda, they're invited to do so at this time. We just ask that you give us your name and address for the minutes and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Public comment is open at 7:17. And seeing none, we'll assume that folks are here for other purposes. We'll go ahead and close that back up. I don't intend to spend a lot of time on item 8 because it's still not listed on our agenda, mystery item 8, so we'll pass on that. So we'll move to our new business. We have one new business item tonight. It's site plan review 2019-01, Graphics Central. This was postponed from January. And Peter, is there anything you want to say by way of introduction to this before I turn it over to the applicant?
Sure. We had this application last month scheduled for January. It was withdrawn by the applicant, or not withdrawn, I shouldn't say, it was postponed, requested by the applicant. And so the application is here tonight. Since that time, we have all approvals from outside agencies. The only exception is the stormwater management review by the county drain office. In your memo, I gave you guys a little bit of background at the drain office. Bruce Rohr, who's the engineer who typically reviews and approves our stormwater plans, has been out due to health reasons. And so it's made it difficult to get plans approved in a timely fashion. And so I can tell you the applicant has submitted the plan to be reviewed to the drain office. So they have a stormwater plan that's been constructed and or engineered and submitted for review and approval. And so you could consider approving the site plan on the condition that it wouldn't be finally approved until the stormwater plan has been reviewed and approved by the county drain office. The applicant has submitted a request for provisional relief from construction of sidewalks. They have shown the sidewalks where they would be located if constructed on the plan, but they did supply in your packet a letter requesting provisional relief. And so my recommendation, I see the the plan meeting zoning, ready to approve. You just have to consider on whether you'd like to grant the provisional relief, and consider if the, if you want to move forward now with the review, with it lacking the stormwater plan, or, if you want to still postpone until you actually have that approval. So.
Okay. Well, based on that introduction, what is the will of the commission? We've got the applicant here tonight.
I would say we should move forward. This is no fault of the applicant, but, it's unfortunate that the drain commission is ill or whatever, but that we could, look at it and make it pending stormwater approval and allow the administrators to take care of that. That would be my recommendation.
I would agree.
Agreed.
Okay. I'm hearing no objections, so we'll go ahead and do that. So at this time, we normally turn it over to the applicant, give them an opportunity to say anything they'd like to say about the project, and also to take our questions. So.
Okay, I'm John with GBS Contractors, and the applicant. I'm also the chairman of the Traffic Center here. We're just both here for any questions you might have. It's just a simple addition to their printing shop. It's just a one bay, 28 foot long, going to the west. Pretty simple, nothing fancy about this building. In the industrial park, the building is an exact facade to what's there now, so it's a continuation of the roof. The wall sheathing is exactly the way it is. There's no difference in appearance or color. Doesn't get any simpler than this. So we're here if you got any questions about the operations. I guess Jeremy can answer those better. If you got questions about the building, fire away.
Are you increasing the roof water retention with additional?
Yes, design. We actually hired the Peter Engineering to engineer this. So it's all been engineered. We just don't have anyone at the county to approve it.
I'm looking at what we were supplied this month. I'm also looking at what we were supplied in January. The one in January has a phase 1 and phase 2.
That's only phase 1 now. At that point, we didn't know if we were going to do a 1 bay or a 2 bay.
Okay.
They have concluded that the 1 bay is sufficient.
All right. I guess Peter's been trying to pull it up. We normally put these things on the screen, but the computer's not cooperating tonight, so I don't think it's really essential for us. But it's open for questions from commissioners if anybody's got any.
I just had a question for Peter. Is there any, with them coming in for this review, does that enact anything with landscaping and lighting or any of that stuff? I mean, does it have any bearing on that or no?
Well, I did ask the applicant about lighting, if there was going to be any lighting added on the building, and because if so, we'd need a lighting plan. At this time, there's no proposed new lighting to go on the building, so.
Okay. And landscaping, there wouldn't be any requirements? Okay, that's perfect.
You can't actually pull up anything at this point?
I have a question in regards to as we go to the sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned in your letter that this is an unimproved road. Why do you think it's an unimproved road? Unimproved road is usually dirt. It's not a dirt road, is it?
No, but it's...
Is it? But that's what the unimproved road is. So therefore, it's not a dirt road. It's not a very nicely asphalt road, but it's not a dirt road. Correct, okay. I just want to make sure I was in the right place.
Well, not hearing a lot of questions about the plan itself. I mean, we do have then the issue of the request for relief on the sidewalk, so we'll need to discuss that. I was hoping that we could kind of look over the lay of the property in terms of what's around it, but it looks like we'll have to may not have that.
Well, I
as a
can speak to
visual.
that. I mean, even, and again, the letter, thinking that, number one, it's not an unapproved road. Okay, so it's, as one of our criteria. There is no evidence from the applicant about a car pedestrian injury, so I can't speak to that. However, what he does say is that surrounding the existing site, there are no sidewalks up there. Absolutely none. So I'm not sure why we would not provide them a temporary relief of a sidewalk in that particular area.
Agreed.
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 So there's no sidewalks on Pickard in that vicinity?
Well, Pickard, but where they're at, there's nothing up
way
there.
off.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, they gotta be 300 yards from Pickard?
Yeah, probably,
Okay.
at least.
If not more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
It's tough to get a food delivery there, I know that.
yeah, so, yeah.
I guess to give anybody who's not completely sure where it is north of Meyer.
Yeah, there's self-storage back there and
Is it?
Brad Malley across.
Would it be directly
Yeah, it's right
north of the
across from
south?
Brad Malley's.
Brad Malley's
Directly
right
north
there.
of the
There's
self-storage?
nothing.
Storage is like a back drive. You can see that from kind of our front door there.
So if I'm standing at self-storage facing north, then I would be able to look straight at it, right at it.
Yeah, I believe you guys would be to the west of Malley.
Yep, right straight.
Yes.
We're almost on that pond that's behind Central Motorsports where it goes back
Yep.
inside the highway there.
And there was a lot of roof trusts on some property.
Behind us, there's
I was thinking it was south of you. And that Vegan is south of you. You came, yeah.
There's some new construction. going
oh,
on
just
right around the
recently,
corner.
yeah.
Okay, so something's going up there?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but something's
Okay.
going on.
There's a whole bunch of them up there. Like, oh.
See, I was thinking about walking out there the other weekend, but there was no sidewalk.
Ah. But they had it plowed. You could have walked up the street.
I see him walking down bluegrass down the street. So you could have made
Why are
it.
they still walking? Yeah.
Well, if there's no other discussion, I'd make a motion to approve SBR 2019-01 with condition that the stormwater approval is granted. And also
Provisional.
provisional relief of the sidewalk.
Is there a second?
I
Second.
support.
You want to flip for it?
I don't
Yeah,
think I
you
can flip any.
I guess you could list the reason for the provisional relief.
I would say that there are no surrounding sidewalks in the area, would be
Yeah,
the
I'll
reason.
say that, yeah,
Less than 50% of the surveyed sections of the township along the road fronting the proposed development has sidewalks. It's right out of our,
perfect. That's,
Yeah.
right out of it.
Thank you.
Except I gotta write all that down.
I can give you this.
Just
give me
copy
that.
it out of the.
We'll adjourn while you're writing.
I'll give it to you, Alex.
I would say too that realistically, I mean, I know that it's not necessarily out of the policy, but it's not the location is a destination. There's no pass-through traffic there either, so there's not clearly no high volume of traffic because it simply is in the back. It's in the corner. There's nowhere else to go.
Okay, so there was a motion by LaBelle with a second by Webster to approve the site plan with the condition that the stormwater management plan has to be approved and with provisional relief for the sidewalk for the reasons stated. Further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So, it's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd love to hang around.
Not really, no, not.
That's fine.
Okay, next item is other business. Is there any other business we need to deal with tonight? Next item is extended public comment. Our audience just left, but we'll do it anyway. This is the portion of the meeting where individuals can address the Planning Commission on any item, whether it was on tonight's agenda or not. Give us your name and address for the minutes, and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Extended public comment is open at 7:30. Seeing none, it's closed back up. Final board comment. Any comments from commissioners? I will just briefly ask Peter to update us, just remind us where we are with the zoning and what we're waiting for from the folks.
Okay. Yep, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to. So first of all, I hope everybody did get that email I sent. It was to you guys, the Planning Commission. I think I copied the Zoning Board of Appeals just to keep them in the loop, but so you should, in that email, it was basically everything we have up until this point, diagnostic review report, I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the document that Chris gave us at the last meeting, but so basically you have an update of everything that we've done up until this point. Last week I did I talked with Chris, and he is aiming for, originally he wanted to come to the March meeting, but I suggested that I would prefer we have special meetings, and so the 2 days that I threw out is, if you'd be able to do it, is the Wednesday, March 20th, or Thursday, March 21st. Tomorrow I'm probably going to send an email out to everybody. I know we have 2 people absent, but those are the 2 days that I'm going to ask you if you're available to meet at probably a 7 o'clock or 6:30 special meeting, either that Wednesday or Thursday. And that would be for the first part of our zoning ordinance review. If you remember, the plan that we're working on is initially we're going to try to get it done into 3 parts. However, we'll see how this first one goes, and if we have to break it up into 4 parts, we'll break the ordinance up into 4 parts. But Chris is aiming to have that first part for us to review that 3rd week in March, and so if we have a meeting the 20th or the 21st, Chris also knows that he needs to get that part to me to send you guys a couple weeks in advance, so you have 2 weeks to review all the information. So that's where we're at right now.
Very good. Any questions about that? Any other board comments? Yes.
I'd just like to bring everybody's attention to the Central Michigan University Board of Trustees met last week, and I know there's a video of it online. It was streamed on Facebook. I just think I want to point out for your benefit, there was a presentation that was at that Board of Trustees meeting that discussed the potential future use of the Smart Zone on the south end of campus, and had some information about what the CEO of the CMU Research Corporation had presented with some market studies and some research and things like that, and just provided a quick overview about what she is proposing for that space. And I know that that's beyond our zoning, but it is our neighbor, so I just thought that if anybody had time, they should check that out if they can find it online, and give it a watch real quick, and just get a chance to acquaint themselves with what the current plans are.
Were they planning on coming to us and talking to us about being good neighbors and what their plans are?
I will encourage that. In fact,
I certainly hope so, because we try
absolutely
hard to go that way.
I actually, for other non-related reasons, have a meeting scheduled with the CEO of the CMU Research Corporation within the next month or so, and I will certainly pass that sentiment along. Yeah.
Interesting. Very good. Others? Okay, if not, then we've completed our agenda, so we'll stand in adjournment until our March meeting, or the special meeting, whichever comes first. We seem to either have really short meetings or really long meetings, so this one's a short one. Enjoy it.
Alex, can you read that?
I